I want this channel to be a one-stop shop for cybersecurity professionals that want to break into the field and take their careers to the next level. Part of being a good professional is being a better individual, as a successful life and a successful career usually go hand in hand. Today I'm going to talk about leaving your home country to live abroad and why this will be a game changer for you and your career. Let's begin. I left Portugal when I was 23 because life prospects were, and still are, quite grim. I finished university like most, with very high hopes. I was promised a great career, money, and a relaxed life. Reality, however, was quite different. I was interviewed several times and I was offered what can only be described as a miserable salary. Everyone has a breaking point, and my breaking point was when I was being interviewed at the time, when I was still in Portugal, for a consultancy company. I was asked the classic, "What are your salary expectations?" And when I gave my answer to the interviewer, he just laughed at my face and said, "You know what, you clearly have no idea what the market looks like." Now let's switch the mood. The day was rainy and depressive. And even though some of you may think Portugal is all about sun and beach, we have our fair share of depressive days, trust me on that. On the way back home, as me and my father were waiting in traffic, he said to me, "Bruno, you really need to leave this country because I cannot stand the idea of seeing my son struggling for the rest of his life." You see, when you are younger, you tend to throw your fists in the air and wonder why life is so unfair. But as you grow older, you just learn to take it as it is and adapt. And at the time, leaving my country became a necessity, and so I did. But wait, I know what you are thinking. A lot of you are probably located in America, and in America everyone is making six figures and living life like a rapper. Or at least that's what I read on Reddit. Now let's assume that you live in a prosperous country and you don't really need to move abroad to actually get more money or perhaps a better life and a better career. Still, let me ask you this question. If you were forced to move abroad and start your life from scratch, reinvent yourself, would you do it? Would you? The thought of leaving the comfort of motherland stops many from ever leaving, but most fail to understand the world of opportunities that such risk can open up for them. In this video, I will give you 3 reasons why living abroad is the best thing you can do for your career and your life. For each of these, I will start by giving you a general idea of the benefits of moving abroad, and then I will extrapolate these benefits to your career. Let's start with the first reason. Different realities. Whenever you ask someone why they like to travel, you tend to hear the cliche, "Because I like to explore new cultures and realities." This usually translates into spending a week or more in a highly touristic place where both the wallet and the locals suffer. There is a high price for living in your own country forever. You will never know what it's like to reinvent yourself. For instance, to rebuild your life and rebuild your social circle from scratch. And you will most likely spend most of your time with the same people that you met at high school or university. You will keep the same mannerisms and the same mindset, which will severely hamper your growth and affect both your personal and your work life. When you live abroad, you are forced to mingle with the locals or with the expats, because the alternative, let's be honest, is just being alone all the time. There are no friends or family to save you anymore. You are also forced to accept different realities and shortcomings of your new home. And what ends up happening is that you actually start appreciating more the things that you have in your country. And you become more open to accept things that some people might consider crazy. Now let's focus on the workplace. Different cultures have different ways of approaching work and leisure time. And they manage tasks and time differently. When you choose to stay in your country, you are guaranteed to live the rest of your life following the same script as everyone around you. Because that is the only script you will ever encounter. Immersion is the ultimate form of experience and learning. The same way it's recommended that you move abroad to improve a language that you are trying to learn. No amount of Airbnb stays and visits to the local meetups are going to replace the experience of actually living like a local. You may end up just finding more tourists like you and expats who live in the same bubble and are clueless about the life of locals. Second reason, mental resilience and perspective. Up until the age of 23, I struggled severely with depression, anxiety, and panic that began at the end of high school and persisted throughout university. At the time, my world revolved around studying and having good grades. Now, when I look back at some of the things that used to piss me off or cause me anxiety, I just realize how meaningless they were. And there is a reason for that. Your anxieties will fill as much space as you allow them to. And the fewer real concerns that you may have on your plate, the more likely you are to fret over nonsense. Over the years, I've realized something. At the time when I was still living in Portugal, I was mentally weak because I had a comfortable life. All I had to do was simply having good grades and make sure I didn't crap my pants. Pretty easy, right? When I found myself for the first time living abroad, walking the dark streets of Dublin, I felt anxious, I felt overwhelmed and quite lost. But something happened. The depression that was berating me up until that point disappeared. It just subsided. And I believe the reason for that is that I was no longer comfortable. I had ahead of me several months and years of trials and tribulations. It was the beginning of a new life for me. Now, credit where credit is due. When I look back, I realize how lucky I was for not getting stabbed by a junkie or a savage teenager. But I guess the universe had other plans for me. The point here, folks, is that what keeps mental pain at bay is not only mental resilience, but also perspective. Wherever you are right now, sit and reflect on the pains that you have. And be brutally honest. Chances are you live a pretty comfortable life. And yet, you may be fretting over a breakup, the fact that your parents didn't buy you a car, as the parents of your friend did, or perhaps you are simply struggling with getting a job. Your problem is that your world is really small. You do not have real problems. And every minor setback just throws you into a rut. And this was exactly what was happening to me at the time when I was still living in Portugal. Living abroad will show you what real struggle looks like. And you will be forced to handle multiple issues at the same time. The great thing about this is that you will realize that problems, will bother you as much as you allow them to, and not more. Going back to the workplace, mental resilience and perspective will be invaluable. You will be much more calm, composed in the face of conflict, frustration, and unmet expectations, which are an inevitable reality in the workplace. Third reason, life on your own terms. I have been asked many times, more than I can count, if I miss my country. And usually my answer is no, I don't. I miss my friends, I miss my family, but I do not miss the mentality or the system. Taxation is beyond unreasonable, and career progression is no more than a mirage. But hey, we have a bunch of great stuff, right? It's Portugal. Every country has its own shortcomings, but there is a reason why some people choose to leave. They want to take responsibility for their lives and live life on their own terms. Leaving your friends and family behind, finding yourself in the middle of strangers, fending for yourself, will be one of the most challenging experiences you will ever come across. However, the upside for those that decide to take the risk is almost unlimited. By taking the first step, and that's all it takes, a first step, you have shown that you are open to taking responsibility for your life and you are willing to adapt to changes in your circumstances. Once more, how does this translate to the workplace? You will be willing to walk away from a job that doesn't serve you anymore and even move abroad to pursue new opportunities. My stay in Dublin was eye-opening, and not because I was lucky enough not to be stabbed, but because FireEye was a great workplace. I loved the people that I worked with, and because Irish people are still, to me, some of the funniest people you will ever come across. Regardless, I wasn't really happy there. And even though I moved once, I decided to move again to Prague to become a reverse engineer, which, looking back, was the best thing I could have done. And by this point, I know that you are already prepared to leave your country. You even packed your bags and everything. But you still might not be sure where to start. Once more, I've got you covered with 4 tips. The first tip is move fast and move early. My English is not good enough, Bruno. I need to have more experience first. I have heard all of the excuses you can think of. And let me tell you something. The longer you wait, the less likely you are to leave. And there are several reasons for this. The first one is that the longer you stay, the more you are going to progress in your career. And at some point, you are going to reach a point where your salary and your lifestyle is above average. So why moving to another country? The second reason is that at some point, you are going to find a soulmate, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, and a relationship is probably one of the top reasons why people don't leave their countries anymore, because they are already settled. The third reason is once you cross your 30s, you are much less likely to leave your country because you became complacent and you become more lazy. It just comes with age. Deal with it. The best time to move abroad was last year, and the second best time is today. So do it. Second tip, family and friends. Now this one will most likely touch some people in the wrong way, but it must be said. Now, one of the most common reasons why people don't leave their countries to move abroad is the fear of leaving their friends and loved ones behind. Now, I have a very hard truth for you. Starting with your friends, most of them are going to get married at some point. They are going to have children. And at that point, they are just going to drop off the map. They will stop joining you to get drunk on Friday nights. And at some point, you will never see them again. It's just a normal course of things. And with your family, you have to accept that at some point your family, your loved ones, your parents, they are going to pass away. This is just a reality that you have to deal with. Relying on the relationships to decide your future is a surefire way for you to one day look back with a lot of regret. Because by choosing to stay in your country because of your friends and family, you are missing out on the opportunity to meet amazing people outside of your country. People with different realities, different upbringings, different mindsets. People that can be your best friend, perhaps your girlfriend, perhaps your boyfriend. These people are going to make you a much more mature individual, and one day when you look back, you will realize how far you have come. Remember, your friends and family will always be in your own country, ready to welcome you when you visit them. Your life is yours to live, so live it. Third tip is be open to the possibilities. In 2018, I left FireEye because I was quite burned out and I wanted to become a reverse engineer. Initially, I searched for jobs in the usual places: United Kingdom, Germany, Spain, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and France. I found no reverse engineering or threat research positions. Now, this one day I found a job as a threat research lead for Cisco in Prague. Czech language, different currency, Central Europe. It just sounded like a terrible idea. But I took the leap and here I am today. While most people wanted to find jobs in well-known countries, I decided to choose one that was less popular, at least as a place to work. And this turned out to be one of the best choices I made and a pivotal point in my life. People look for opportunities as if they were low-hanging fruits. But there is a big problem with low-hanging fruits. Everyone is looking for them because they are easier to obtain. No one wants to climb the tree to get to the fruit that is higher. Climbing involves sacrifice and effort. Never forget, be open to the possibilities. A change in field, a different position in your company, or even a less popular country. Just take the leap. One of two things is going to happen. Either you will succeed or you will learn. Either way, you are going to grow. That's for sure. Fourth tip, and this one is quite important, be aware of high salaries. When you receive a job offer that is too good to be true, a salary that's much higher than the one that you would ever make in your country, even at a higher position, your initial thought should be taxes and cost of living, because no country is perfect, and there are no free lunches. However, let me give you a different perspective. You should never leave your country simply with the purpose of making more money, at least at the beginning of your career. Your ultimate goal should be to explore new opportunities and grow as an individual and professional. When you move abroad, you will discover that new doors will open, and you will start contemplating possibilities that you have never considered before. Now, a lot of people tend to relocate for a couple of years so they can boost their CVs, and then they simply return to their old countries to get much better positions with much higher salaries. Now, that is fine and can be done. That is definitely done, and I know this is something that is quite popular with Portuguese people. But once you move outside of your country for the first time, why stopping there? What is preventing you from doing it again? Remember, your objective is to live life on your own terms, and that takes whatever it takes. And Spartans, that concludes my motivational video for this week. Don't forget to leave a "I'm Haravier" on the comment section, and I will leave a like to make sure that Ryanair does not lose your bags. But it's Ryanair, so I can't promise anything. Moving abroad can be intimidating, and adapting to a new reality can be nerve-wracking. However, if there is one thing I've learned over the years, is that you will rise to the occasion and adapt. Whenever you make a big decision in life, always bear in mind your future self. Until next time, stay safe, stay paranoid.